Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy my stories. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you never miss out. Now on with the stories.
So there we were, in the middle of a Tuesday, and I get this email with the ominous subject line. Compliance issue. Immediate response required. I opened it, half expecting some actual emergency or, I don't know, maybe something useful. But no, there it was, all in official language like they were gearing up for a major operation. The whole thing had that air of forced authority, like someone who's watched too many law shows trying to sound like they're in charge. Apparently, the bushes around our patios were just too overgrown to be left alone another second. According to them, it was a serious obstruction to the landscapers. They wanted everyone to clear their patios of, well, anything. Chairs, little tables, planters, you name it. All to make way for the landscapers who, judging by this level of urgency, must have been armed with nothing more than a pair of nail scissors. They gave us 2 days. 2 days. And after that, we'd face a $50 fine per day until the patios were cleared. I thought about how I've lived in condos before and, sure, landscapers come and go, trim a bush here or there. But threats of fines over a potted plant on my own patio? That was a new one. So I just shrugged it off, told myself I'd move a couple of things out of the way. But I wasn't about to rearrange my life over a shrub. But then, not even 24 hours later, another email comes through. This one with a header that practically screamed, mandatory. They were demanding a contact form that apparently the management company absolutely needed, and they weren't taking no for an answer. They wanted all my information. My name, unit number, phone, mortgage details, insurance details, the date I bought the place, the date I moved in, and a full rundown of every pet I own. They even wanted my pet's autobiographical data. I laughed out loud. I'm thinking, what's next? A full psychological profile? The next paragraph assured me that all this information would be handled with the utmost confidentiality. Sure, I thought, like those junk folders they keep on their desktops, labeled personal, but visible to anyone with a mouse. Anyway, I had half a mind to ignore it, but I knew that would only lead to more emails. So I filled it out. Name, unit number, the usual. Then I reached the part about the pets, and for some reason, it just made me snap. It's like they didn't want my life history, just the most inane details. So I typed cat, black, dog, yellow, and hit send. Within hours, I get a response back, this time from Cheryl, the chair of the condo board. I could practically hear her typing, hitting those keys with a smug grin. Cheryl has this way of talking down to people that makes you want to either laugh or scream. Her email was full of clarifications, as she put it, asking if I could be more specific about my pets. Like she was expecting some deep, meaningful answer. Did she want their birth certificates? An essay on their daily habits? So, I replied, this time even more curt. 1 black cat, 1 yellow dog. I could almost picture Cheryl's face tightening, that kind of disapproving look she gets. And it honestly gave me a bit of satisfaction. And then, wouldn't you know it, the next day, Cheryl herself is knocking on my door. There she stands, clipboard in hand, wearing this forced smile that was so tight, it looked painful. I braced myself. Cheryl never just drops by without a reason. It's always a mission, an opportunity for her to wield her clipboard like it's the Constitution. Good morning, she starts, as if we're all just having a nice, friendly chat. I wanted to go over the form you submitted. Oh, I thought we covered that, I said, not even bothering to hide the annoyance. Well, she said, flipping through her papers, we need accurate records, you understand. The board must be able to ensure the safety of all residents and maintain a clear database. Cheryl, how does knowing the color of my dog and cat ensure anyone's safety? She raised an eyebrow, clearly not amused. It's about being thorough, she says, the word thorough, dripping with this weird mix of pride and irritation. And we need your emergency contact details. I don't have any emergency contacts to give. She clicked her pen, as if it was some kind of threat, tapping it against her clipboard. Everyone has someone. A friend, a coworker. Nope, no one, I replied, crossing my arms. I'm an island unto myself. She sighed, putting on that I'm dealing with a difficult child. Look. Well, the board would feel much more comfortable if we had something on record. And I'd feel much more comfortable if the board stopped invading my privacy, I shot back. She blinked, as if she couldn't believe anyone would dare talk back. Cheryl always loved getting the last word, so she leaned in, her tone low. If you choose to ignore these policies, you'll be subject to a fine, per our rules. I couldn't help but laugh. So, let me get this straight. You'll fine me because I won't give you a list of emergency contacts I don't have? Go ahead, Cheryl, fine me for having no friends. She took a deep breath, clearly trying to keep her composure. It's about community responsibility, she said, her voice tight. As a resident, you have an obligation. Right, I said, stepping back toward my door. Well, as a resident, I also have a right to privacy. She opened her mouth to argue, but I shut the door. I could hear her muttering something outside before she finally walked away. The next day, I thought I was in the clear. I figured Cheryl would let it go, or at least wait a while before bothering me again. But around noon, I hear another knock. I sighed, wondering who on earth it could be now. And sure enough, I looked through the peephole, and there she is again, this time with the property manager, Todd, by her side. Todd was a different kind of character. He always had this nervous energy, like he was terrified of upsetting anyone but also scared of doing anything wrong. He looked as uncomfortable as I felt, but Cheryl had that iron grip on him, and he wasn't going anywhere. May we come in? Cheryl said, her tone clipped, as if I didn't have a choice. Why not? I said, letting him in, just to see where this was going. Cheryl and Todd both stepped inside, and Cheryl immediately took charge, motioning for Todd to sit at the kitchen table while she stayed standing, her clipboard held like a shield. We have some concerns, Cheryl began, about your refusal to comply with the patio clearing and the emergency contact information. I looked over at Todd, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. And why does that require both of you to be here? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Cheryl pressed her lips together, a slight twitch at the corner of her mouth. We just want to ensure we're all on the same page. Fine, I said, crossing my arms. Let's talk about the bushes. I moved what I could. What else do you want from me? Todd looked up, giving me a slight nod of empathy, like he understood but didn't dare say it. Cheryl, on the other hand, was unfazed. It's not just about this incident, she said. It's about setting a precedent. Precedent? For what? I shot back. For harassing people over patio furniture? Todd winced, looking down, but Cheryl was relentless. For establishing clear boundaries and expectations. If we let one person get away with it, it opens the door to others. Get away with what? Cheryl, having a potted plant on my patio? Todd cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable. We understand it might seem excessive, but we have to think about consistency. I laughed, shaking my head. You mean you have to think about control, right? Cheryl's face turned a shade darker, but she didn't flinch. We're simply doing what's best for the community. Funny, I said, leaning against the counter. I thought, what's best for the community might involve listening to the people who live here. For a moment, Cheryl was quiet, and I thought maybe, just maybe, I'd gotten through to her. But then she squared her shoulders and gave me that prim, practiced smile. The board has voted. These fines will continue until compliance is met. We hope you'll reconsider your stance. I let out a long breath. Well, Cheryl, I hope the board has a steady supply of fine notices, because I'm not budging. And with that, I walked them to the door, giving Todd a sympathetic pat on the back as he shuffled out behind her. It felt good, slamming that door shut on Cheryl's disapproving face. Over the next few weeks, they kept at it, sending me notices and warnings, stacking up fines. Every time, I ignored them, knowing they were just playing a game of endurance. I heard through the grapevine that Cheryl was absolutely beside herself, ranting about defiance and order to anyone who would listen. She even held a board meeting to discuss resident discipline, as if we were a bunch of unruly children. In the end, they wore themselves out, realizing that their threats had no effect. I think the entire building knew by then that Cheryl's little power play had backfired, and they were none too happy with her. And me? I sat back, watched the spectacle, and enjoyed every minute of it. 1. In a detached home, I'm with you on the idea that the HOA board and management company shouldn't have access. If there's an emergency, call the pros, 911. However, in a condo, assuming attached, there are things that can have pretty significant impacts to other units in the building itself, such as water leaks. Someone entering to turn off the water, if necessary, can keep a small water leak from becoming a very costly fix. A smarter idea would be to outline what emergencies fall under the management board's purview, e.g. turning off water or power when deemed appropriate to protect the building. Water, there should be an external valve, same for electricity and gas. If there is none, you probably are breaking local zoning and building regulations, which in general call for a method to isolate a unit from outside in case of emergency. Would tell them that you deny them any entry without contact, and any entry will be classed as housebreaking, and you will lay the appropriate charges on them personally. I get the concern about privacy, but there's a middle ground here. In my condo, we have a system where the building super has emergency access, but it's strictly regulated. They can only enter in genuine emergencies, like major leaks or fire, and they have to log every entry and justify it to the board. Plus, we all have security cameras now, so we'd know if there was any funny business. It saved us a few times when people were out of town and pipes burst. Maybe suggest something like that. It balances safety with privacy. Just make sure it's all in writing and voted on by residents. No sneaky stuff allowed.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.